You're listening to The Financial Outfitter, helping turn dreams into cherished memories. Sponsored by BPG Planning, purpose-based personal financial planning because it's about more than your money.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Financial Outfitter podcast, the podcast where we believe the sporting lifestyle holds the remedy to what ails the human spirit in the modern world. Thanks for taking some of your most precious of assets, your time, to be with us today, to listen in. We are in the den today, and joining us is professional hunter and outfitter all the way from South Africa, Johan De Meyer.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thanks, Brian, for having me in your studio today. I'm Johan De Meyer, like you mentioned, and I'm representing the company Bushman Safaris. We're in the northern part of Limpopo of South Africa in the heart of the Bushveld.
Cool. So how long, this is your first trip to the States, yes?
Oh, yes, 100%, sir.
Okay. So, and I know coming here and seeing me or seeing us is not your first stop. So how long are you here for?
Well, I arrived on the 6th of January, attended a couple of shows already, did the DSC, which was a big one, and then I was fortunate to see a couple of my buddies down in the South Alabama side, going out to the countryside. What a beautiful place it was. And now I'm fortunate to be here in Pennsylvania with you guys.
And, this obviously is going to air a couple months from now, but you had the good fortune of arriving right in probably our worst cold snap with pretty much daily snow. So this is your first experience with snow?
100% correct, yes, and I'm freezing.
Yeah. It's for folks might see this, a lot later in the year. Today we've got a high of 10 degrees, so it's pretty chilly out there.
Yeah, no, that's really cold for me. I'm not used to that. It's definitely by far the coldest I've been in my life.
Yeah.
To finish the question off, from here, I'll be going to Nashville in the morning, where the SCI main event of us for the season will be. That's a good show. And from there, I'll be spending some time in Idaho, Boise, where our company is based. And then obviously off to the Western Hunting show, which also going to be good. And that will be in Utah, Salt Lake.
So just for folks that are like listening carefully, you just said that your company is based out of Utah,
Out of
Idaho, and you're operating in South Africa.
There
So
we
that's
go, yeah.
somewhat unique.
Yeah,
right?
100% very unique, sir. Our mother company is in Idaho, Boise, and I'm on the ground for them. I'm in a fortunate position to manage a hunting conservancy for them, property of about 20,000 acres, like I said, in the Limpopo province. And yeah, both myself and my wife are on the ground there, and that's what we do for a living.
So, I really personally had not a lot of interest in going to Africa until I met the folks from Bushman at the SCI show 2 years ago. And, the fact that the ownership was here in the United States, and we'll get into this more, but they're bow hunters, and that's really I would say my number one passion. That's what really interested me. But there's a couple of unique things, and maybe obviously I'll let you speak to this. One is that it's bow hunting only, and you're not hunting all year long. So maybe share with the listeners the hunting schedule and what makes that unique.
Oh yeah, we set up for the archer only guy. We do only bow hunting. We do like 7 hunts a year, starting in April, right through to October. We hunt around 1 week or 10 days around the center to dark of the moon only. And we accommodate maximum 42 hunters a year. That's not including the non-hunters, but we cater for 42 maximum hunters per year. And that in a result, it's really low pressure of hunting. If you can take in consideration only around the dark of the moon, 42 hunters, and we don't do it all year long. So it's not like a sausage machine where we try and push everybody through. just to get a chance. And that result at the end of the day, that result in great trophy quality and leaving people 99.9% happy to go back with all the expectations they had.
You know, it wasn't my original intent when I booked my trip to come out, but it ended up like this in between the time that I booked and then I went is that we got my dad to come. So Dad and I hunted in June, and again, was just something that really wasn't on our radar, but both of us very passionate about bow hunting, and this opportunity arose where we could be together. And it is an amazing experience and a cherished memory, as I refer to the, all the time. And I don't know that I've probably ever spent that much time like side by side with my dad. So, when you're hunting there in the blinds, and again, I think there's probably some value in helping people understand what these blinds are like. My dad and I hunted side by side every day for, I don't know, 8, 10, 11 hours a day for 7 days. And it was never uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. That's what we strive for, is we've got about 17 blinds set up over waterholes for the bow hunter. And we try and make them as spacious, as possible and as comfortable as possible for you guys. So a lot of our time and effort in our management plan is into the blinds. Some of them, as you've seen, is pit blinds where you actually shoot eye level.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got a couple of elevated blinds as well, where you can shot or shoot downwards towards the animal. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
As a whitetail bow hunter, I spend a lot of time in a tree stand, and I don't hunt out of a blind, whether it's on the ground or elevated. For the most part, it's always just a single stand. And to be in a pit blind, when you actually get into that blind for the first time and you realize that when these animals come in, you are quite literally going to be almost eyeball to eyeball. And in some cases, their head could be above your eye level.
Sure.
I love that experience. But yet my dad, who hunts a good bit from a blind because his mobility to climb is pretty much done, right? He really liked the elevated stands, and even the elevated stands have plenty of space
and
very comfortable.
Oh yeah, well that's 100% what we strive for. So it's just to make sure every hunter that comes there has got the most comfort and success that we possibly can give him.
And you said 17? There's 17 blinds?
We do 17 blinds.
Do you think that you would put more on the property, or
in the plan, in our future plans, there is definitely 2 or 3 extras that will come in.
Mm-hmm.
We in the last 2 years we have built 2 new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we're planning on at least another 2. That's in the near future, but definitely not for 25 season.
Again, I really consider myself novice at best when it comes to Africa and understanding all that it has to offer. And, we've talked to a couple of folks just recently that, might consider coming for the first time. So on, your particular property that you're managing, how many species can you hunt?
Well, we can basically hunt in the low 20s. There will be about 22 species from a steenbok all the way up to buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say about 22, 23 species.
Mm-hmm.
That will include, plains game, a couple of dangerous game. You'll go out if possible, if you want to, for night hunting, where we'll do some jackal hunts and bush pig hunts and things like that.
Are you doing that with a bow?
Some of it we can do with a crossbow. The bush pigs are tricky with a compound.
Yeah.
But if guys they really want to do it, we definitely do that with a crossbow at night.
Going to the blinds and going to as many blinds as we had the opportunity to hunt, And as someone, as a family that tries to manage their own property, there's almost an incalculable amount of work that has to go into just maintaining the blinds. But you're doing some other things on the property for habitat now, right?
Oh yeah, we're busy taking out a bit of the sickle brush that's infested most of the bushveld of South Africa. And that's just to accommodate, some of the plain game species like springbok and red hartebeest, black wildebeest, zebra. A lot of those species, they really love their open areas. So we do it carefully and try not to disrupt the habitat. We just leave like big trees and take all the brush out to give those animals the free roaming space they really need.
Well, for us here in Western Pennsylvania, space is relative. Meaning, like a lot of space for us we did a 6 acre. We cleared 6 acres for food plots. Does 6 acres make any difference, like on a property your size? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a good question. At the end of the day, 6 acres for us is really small.
Yeah.
Especially taking in consideration that I'm managing a 20,000 acre property. You need to open it up enough to make sure, the hunters see enough of the species around the 17 blinds that we've got. It's going to be one thing opening up 6 acres there and having them around the lodge. And it's a completely different ballpark if you try and get it to a stage where they can roam the whole 20,000 acres and make sure everybody that come to hunt see whatever they need to see.
Just kind of switching gears, I think I'm keep going back to like what it takes to operate the property, right? How many professional hunters do you have there?
Well, in the South African law, you need two hunters per PH, which is professional hunter. So we 3 guys permanently on the property. And then sometimes, we don't get a camp full of people. And if we do, then we'll just get another guy in for the duration, the 10-day duration of the hunt to come and help us. And that's basically how we roll.
So with it being the majority of it being the blind hunting, you do some spot and stalk for certain species?
Definitely. Yeah. So, yeah, on sable and buffalo, Cape buffalo, we prefer to do a walk on a stalk. We don't just, let people sit in a blind with a PH and do the Cape. And that's really not up to our standards.
Yeah. So sable?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Sable is a good animal to do a stalk on. And, they're not that hard. They can be tricky. Your first approach is always key. And that's where you need to make things work.
I would never have thought you'd be trying to stalk a sable. I don't know why, but
no, definitely.
You mentioned and we just said a couple of times a pH. So if you just said that like in passing to some people, at least around here that haven't had any experience with hunting outside the country, it's as a professional hunter, it's a professional designation.
Oh, 100%,
right. So there's a process to that. What's definitely. That process like?
The process of that, I think it begins when you're a young kid and you got some interest in the hunting industry or the whole hunting culture. I'd say that's the most important thing. Without any interest and real interest in that, love for the culture, you're basically wasting your time and other people's time. So if you've got love for that, that's a good beginning. And then in our culture, the Boer culture or Afrikaans culture, we grew up hunting or we grow up hunting. I've got a boy that's 12 years old. I think you've met him. It's like thick in his blood.
Right.
To be an outdoor kid. He enjoy fishing, hunting. And that's most of the kids that do get the opportunity to grow up like that, which I was fortunate to. That's the first step. And then the second step is, before we're allowed to hunt with any abroad clients or friends or family at the end of the day. We need to go for a physical PH course where you have to learn the law around animals, hunting, shooting, guiding, all kinds of things. And then you also do the physics, on the physical hunt. So that period these days are a 12-day course, but you need background, to go there and think you're going to do and learn everything in 12 days is basically impossible. That's a really tight schedule. And then once you've got that, then you're ready to go.
So you get your professional hunter's designation, but I would think that most of these people already have a relationship with an outfitter, and that's how they gain employment once they're become
100%. I was very fortunate to join this company back in 2018, where I was actually starting there on a maintenance schedule. I was doing a lot of maintenance work for them, and then going into the bush with them, into the field with them, starting to hunt with the guys, the previous management team. And I think, I hunted from being a kid, but being in the bush every single day, you just learn so many more things right up in the bush. And yeah, I was, like I said, fortunate to do that since 2018. And today I manage the property for the owners.
I know a lot of people that have been to Africa long before I got there, and there's always this reoccurring part of the conversation where two things seem to come up on a regular basis, and that is the number of species that you see when you're there, and then the trackers. And you can hear about it, you can read about it, but then when you witness it firsthand, it really is eye-opening. And pretty much, when you're hunting with a bow, you're going to end up tracking pretty much everything.
100% correct.
Things don't just drop in their tracks, obviously. So to have that opportunity over and over and over again is really, it's pretty fascinating to watch. And I would think that your experience in going into the bush, that provides you with a tremendous amount of experience.
You learn as you go. But one thing for sure, I think every single PH in this world, whether it's in America, whether it's in Africa, it doesn't matter where you go, rely a lot on tracking. And if you can't track, or if you haven't got trackers, you're basically going to lose whatever you're busy doing. So we're fortunate in Africa to have real good trackers. Those guys, that's all they can do. That's all they know. And they've been doing it for years and years. So yeah, we're fortunate to have a couple of those around. And I think that's also, they play a huge role in the success of the Bushman team. And if I mean team, I mean that from the cleaner right through to top management and ownership of Bushman Safaris. We preach working as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, and the trackers are most definitely part of our big success.
And they're a lot of fun to be around.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Sometimes as they get to know the clients, and they can sometimes fool around and joke around and tell you guys, no, it was a bad shot, and meanwhile they've already spotted the animal lying there.
Yeah, right.
Things like that. So yeah, no, they're really fun to be around, and showing, especially guests, how they do it, and trying to show them. It's not always that easy, but especially if we go on a dry track, that can be tricky in the African sand.
Not having any real preconceived notion of what it was going to be like, visiting Africa and hunting Africa for the first time, I certainly was. It's an eye-opening experience, I think, for anyone that does it. Maybe kind of explain for folks what it's like from the time folks land in Joburg to the time they actually get out in the field for the first time. What's that kind of that introductory period like?
Definitely, I think 90% of the folks, we meet them in the States. They'll fly over to Joburg. We'll be waiting at the customs area for them. with their luggage. We'll guide them to the bus. We jump into the bus. That's about a 4.5 hour drive from Joburg to the ranch. That's where we will get the guys. We normally end up there late at night. We'll get the guys shown around, have them a welcome drink, whatever, and then, the next morning go through a little bit of a shot placement session with them, have them shoot their bows, and then off to the blinds they go.
So your typical package is like a 10-day trip. So that's a pretty good stretch of time to be hunting. But the nice thing, I think, is the fact that the accommodations are extremely comfortable, and you guys have worked on that pretty seriously over the last, 2 years or 3 years?
I'd say 2 years.
What's happening there?
2-3 years. Yeah, we try to get the property up to world standard, and I think we really accomplished that. In the long run. We definitely did. You'll spend obviously most of your time hunting, but coming back to the lodge at night, we really think that it's important for you guys to be as comfortable as possible. And taking yourself as an example, we set a standard there of family orientated. So we won't tell you what to do and how to do it. If you want something, you just go into the bar area, you help yourself with whatever you want. And that's what we strive for. That was part of the big plan, the 5-year plan that we had. And I think at this stage, we're really getting up to there. We've got a saying back home is plan your work and work your plan. And that's what we live for, and that's how we do it at this stage. And it's working for us.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a long day. You get up, you're gone when it's dark, and you might not be back till it's dark. But there's some flexibility in that, right? If folks don't want to do
definitely
that.
so, yes. Yeah, what we do is, 10 days do get long, and I'm fortunate to have a great wife that has also obviously got a lot of people skills, and she can read people. So when she see the days are getting longer, she'll put it out there to hunters and non-hunters. Not far from our property, there's a world-class spa. So if you guys feel like in the middle of a hunt it's getting a little bit long for you or whatever, you want to take a break, then she's more than willing, and she normally do it, take people to the spa, have them relax for afternoon or a full day, depending on what they'd like to do. And normally after that they're refreshed and back up to the hunting seat. There we go.
If I needed because I mean, you get into a rhythm. I think you get into a rhythm after a couple of days, and you're like, you're like chomping at the bit to get back out there, because every day is an opportunity.
Sure.
Every sit is an opportunity.
There we go.
And you don't know what you're going to see. And there are days where I've lost count, but there were days where certainly we saw 100 different animals. And then there's days that you don't, because you're hunting, I mean, someone that's spent any time in a deer stand knows that some days that's how it goes. Right? This is just how it goes. But, not shooting, just for me personally, going several days in the season, not shooting my bow makes me, antsy. So it's nice to be able to carve out some time that doesn't really compromise your time in the field to any great degree, and you can get your reps in if you still want to get your reps in.
100%, yes. What we normally do is, especially after a bad shot, we'll ask the guys, "Hey, are you still comfortable with your bow? Are you happy? Would you like to go to the range and just fling a couple of arrows and make sure get your self-trust, or whatever you want to call it, get it back, and your confidence, just boost yourself a little bit on the range, and then you'll be ready to go again." So there's definitely, either in the mornings before we go out to the blinds, or in the afternoons when we come back, it's a good lit up area with the range is. So it's definitely a opportunity.
So what do you, if you were to look forward, 2, 3, 4 years, what do you think maybe are your greatest opportunities to enhance things there at the property? Whatever it is, whether it's, the non-hunters experience and or, the hunting experience due to habitat or trophy management.
Well, at this stage, there's definitely a couple of species that I'd like to get back onto the property. That's one of the big plans that we are striving towards. That's definitely one of them. And then I'd say the second thing is make sure, we've got a high rate of success at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like, hunters to come back with exactly what they plan to go there for.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think if I can accomplish that, then I'll give myself a thumbs up and say, hey, listen, I think you've done well.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, like we work with people, and that's I think the hardest part is to make sure everybody leaves happy. At this stage, I don't think we're doing a bad job, but yeah, you never know who you deal with. That's the biggest challenge I can face.
And that's definitely the reason I probably could not be a guide. I mean, really, you don't get to choose really who you work with.
Oh, definitely not, sir.
And my experiences have been, the camps that I've been in, most of the people are really quality people. Most of the people that I've encountered have been great folks. But, one bad apple can really spoil the bunch.
Oh, really? Oh, no, that can happen. But I think if you're a people's person, you'll pick him quickly out of the bundle, and you'll see, and give him his treatment he deserves.
Yeah.
And 90% of the times, the guy will just step right back into his lane and be the part of the group he should be.
So on a day-to-day basis, what's like the rhythm of the day for a hunter? Like how from the time they get up and then how does the day progress?
We try our best, to get people in the blind at first light. So for us, it's early morning. We'll get up around about 4 in the morning. Reno will make sure breakfast is ready. At 4:30, the guys will obviously get up. They'll go to the breakfast room, have their breakfast. From the breakfast room, they'll go to their lunch boxes. There will be a standard whatever in for the day, and then there'll be a table full of snacks and a fridge full of drinks, and you just pick your pick and pack that in. We hop onto the vehicles, and then we take each group to the blind. You'll be hunting. You'll have a two-way radio with you. If you shoot something, you'll call us up and say, hey, Johan or Reno or Kingston or whoever. We had a shot at a waterbuck. Good example, waterbuck.
Yeah. Waterbuck.
And you'll obviously tell us whether you think it was a good shot or not. If you tell us it was a bad shot, we might hang back a little bit, to give the animal the opportunity to collapse. And then we'll start tracking him down. Because it's such a big property, normally it takes us a couple of minutes to get to you in any way. So, it just depends on the shot. And, then we'll be tracking it down. And once we got it, you obviously get the opportunity to come with us. If we really see that we're going to battle, or it's a tough track, then we'll ask you to hang back. You can go into the blind again, continue your hunt, or someone will come and pick you up and put you in a different blind, and you continue the hunt while we're tracking your animal. As soon as we get it, then obviously we'll come and pick you up and do the necessary, and then drop you off again. We'll wait until right before sunset before we pick you guys up. And then we'll head back to the lodge area where you guys will just relax a little bit, do your thing, and then meet up or catch up with us in the bar area, and we'll have a relaxing night, and off you guys go to bed.
And you get to try all kinds of different game.
Oh, 100%. Yes. Yeah, That's one of the things we do is you won't get a McDonald's or something close by. So you definitely, from the first day, that's on our menu is normally we'll start the hunt off with a blesbuck or impala neck or leg of blesbuck or leg of impala or something like that. And then every night will be some different kind of a game meat on your plate.
I know that my two favorites were giraffe and eland.
Okay, the giraffe schnitzel and the eland steaks.
They were.
That is a highlight, definitely. A lot of people do like the zebra tenderloins as well.
That was excellent. That was excellent.
So yeah, they really love it.
Now I know, aside from the tenderloin, is the any other part of the zebra worth eating?
The back straps are actually good as well.
Yeah.
You just need to marinate them a little bit longer, but they are really good as well. A lot of people will say horse. The way we do it, I think Rena and the team in the kitchen, they really mastered the recipe, and they get it to come out quite well.
One of the other things that I think is it's worth discussing is, and when you get there, it's maybe the most important thing to discuss is shot placement.
Oh, definitely.
It is so distinctly different than North American animals. Now, I mean, I'm not a biologist, but many of the animals in North America that folks are hunting are part of the deer family. Deer, mule deer, white-tailed deer, coos deer, mule deer, elk, moose. And the vitals sit in a very different place. And, I found it initially quite challenging to be shooting at my white-tailed deer 3D target and not aiming where I should be aiming.
Sure. Yeah, that's a common problem. As a South African outfit, we really hunt with a lot of Americans. And, that's a challenge. That is definitely one of the bigger challenges that we face is guys tend to shoot backwards. We try and tell them, tight up the crease or right up the leg, middle of the body, bottom third of the body. And time and time again, the shots are just way back.
Yep.
And I think it's got a lot to do with the muscle memory.
Yep.
You guys are so used to whitetail and those kind of things where you have to go a little bit behind the crease. Our animals is just, they just wire different.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that shoulder blade, the actual palmated piece of the blade, it's higher.
It's higher and a little bit forward.
Yeah, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay,
you're gonna eat it.
Yeah, that animal's way bigger than a whitetail, and I don't, even though I can see the picture of the animal on the anatomy chart, that bone's not there. It's still in your mind, going, I don't want to put my arrow straight into that shoulder blade.
No, definitely.
So, there's got to be something structurally there. So is it just heavy cartilage that you're actually passing through?
100%, yes.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons, why we will, in the shot placement, the time that we spend with you guys before you go and shoot your bows, that little introduction or the time we spend with you guys, I think 99.9% of the animals, we try and hammer that, keep it tight up the crease. That's really important in Africa and with all the African animals.
No, it's bow only, but you can use a crossbow.
Oh, yes. No, definitely. The reason for that is we keep it family. If you've got a little boy that's 8 years old and he really would like to shoot something in Africa, and you haven't got the power to draw 50 pounds or whatever that can be, you know, we still believe in having him shooting an animal with a crossbow, which is easy. You know, there's people with handicaps that come and hunt with Bushman. We've got a specific room where they can go in, and we cater for them, you know. There's a lot of handicapped guys that cannot shoot a compound or a long bow or traditional bow, whatever. And the opportunity is there for them to end up shooting a crossbow.
So actually, two things off of that. One is, you know, just to be very specific, you literally have a suite, a bedroom, bathroom suite that has been essentially re-engineered, redone, specifically for someone that has a, you know, physical handicap.
100% correct.
You know, no curb going into the shower, all that kind of
There
stuff.
we go.
So I think it's really important for people that might think they can't do that, that look, this facility is actually built specifically for you. And just from personal experience, you know, look, it doesn't matter who you are. Some of the pit blinds, you know, you got to crawl in there because you're getting down.
No, definitely.
But it's quite manageable for a wide range of people for sure.
100% correct, yes.
But you know, kind of getting back to the crossbow thing, most crossbows today are more have enough kinetic energy, more than enough than you need for the majority, if not all, of the plains game.
Oh, 100%, yes.
But when it comes to the vertical bow, do you have like a I don't want to say poundage, right? Because that's oversimplifying things, but really I would think it's like a kinetic energy.
Well, I think, you know, we should just give it on as an indication, you know. A bottom line indication will typically be 50 pounds. And if we can recommend any arrows, it will be 450 grains and upwards. That's what I would say is a minimum requirement to do the plains game. And yeah, going up, you know, obviously the bigger the better.
And then you know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday actually, but for the Cape Buffalo, your arrow weight's up around 700,
there we
800 total arrow weight.
Total arrow weight, yeah. No, you know, once again, I believe in a little bit heavier. That is just way better on any setup. If you go for something like a Cape, don't think he's going to string jump you. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's unlike Impala or something like that, you know. So definitely the more heavy arrow will definitely do the job better than a light arrow.
You know, obviously, as you know, I've got this Cape Buffalo thing on my mind, and you know, I rehearse like shot placement, and I've seen folks take straight on shots, and I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, can you speak to taking a frontal shot with a vertical bow?
You know, if you're comfortable with it, I'd say yes. That is more likely a good shot. One of my good friends, Reg Grant, he's recently been taking on a buffalo straight from the front, and it was a perfect shot. So yeah, I won't tell you not to do that, but it's all got to do with your own confidence. If you're not confident, and you'll tell me that up front, you know, then we'll definitely wait for the right shot.
Well, you know, it's one thing being accurate enough, but if you're taking a straight on shot, he's looking at you.
Oh, 100%, yes.
that adds a whole nother element to making an accurate shot.
Definitely. You know, it's intimidating. I think for everybody or anybody that's been face to face with a Cape Buffalo, you know, there's definitely some kind of intimidation going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, us working with them on a daily basis, you know, they still intimidate you after years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just part of the hunt, and it's part of the adrenaline rush and part of the addiction.
You know, I just got done reading like I would think it's like an African classic, Horn of the Hunter, Robert Rourke, if I'm pronouncing that correct. And multiple times in the book, he said, it's the dead ones that kill you,
Mm.
referring to all the dangerous, game. You make the mistake. Someone makes the mistake of going, oh, yeah, it's all good. And, it's not all good.
Oh no,
Uh,
definitely. Uh, especially if you go after the old Dagga boys, sometimes they walk one on their own or two buddies together. That's been thrown out of a group.
mm,
And Kobus Kuman is a very well known South African hunter, and he's actually also giving he's a guy that's doing the PH courses. He's giving that. He was recently almost killed by a buffalo after shooting his buddy, and the buddy came back. He was blind in the one eye. He had a stick in the one eye, and he literally missed him just because he was blind in the eye by a couple of inches, coming back to try and rescue his buddy or save his buddy that was already down.
So it was the
So
second buffalo that.
the second buffalo, came back. And then you'll probably find it, that if they're in a group and you shoot a bull or something like that, they'll come back and try and help their buddies up. They'll give it on and try and get him up or pick him up. And as soon as they really realize he's gone, that's when they'll turn around and go. But sometimes that can take some time.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll in a situation like that, we'll probably chase them off if we have to. But normally it doesn't take that long. But if it does, we'll chase them off before they injure your trophy or whatever the case might be.
Not that I can't imagine that this happens all that often, but just being there for whatever 7 days or whatever, you have a lot of conversations, you share a lot of experiences. And what I was surprised to learn was that one, Plains game can be a little more aggressive than you'd think. Most people would think giraffes are these big, gregarious, friendly animals, but sometimes they don't play well with others. Maybe a lot of times.
I actually think you guys saw it, when you were there.
Yeah.
While there's giraffe at the watering holes, there's absolutely no other animals that will come in and try them.
Yeah.
So we normally tell the guys, as rude as it might sound, if they're there for too long, just start waving at them and go away. And exactly the same with a baboon, because he's warning all the the other animals, that there's someone there, be careful.
Yeah.
They'll just sit out there at 60, 70 yards and just bark at you all the time. And if you don't, try and wave them off or whatever, you're going to sit there and you won't see an animal.
Not see a thing all day.
100%. So
so one of the things that we say on our intro and with a lot of our material at the Financial Outfitter is turning dreams into cherished memories, right? And I'm sure that it's not just Africa, but any sporting experience, folks think about it, and they think about it a lot, and you even hear it when you talk to them. They're like, well, maybe someday. And in my mind, I think, is it someday or is it day one? You've got to take that idea and move it to the next step, which usually requires some decisions.
Sure.
And it's when you execute on that, when you make that dream, that thing that you weren't sure you would ever be able to do or ever would do. And in this case, it was certainly going to Africa for me. And then you layer on top of the fact that I took my dad and we did that together. From the time we left the airport, from the time we left Pittsburgh until we got back home, is a very emotional period of time. Just because there was so much love for one another, but love for the sport, it's just something that we have shared our entire lives.
Sure.
So to be able to do it together at that level is amazing. And for me, it's a cherished memory, right? It's something that I own. It only gets better with time. No one can ever take it from me, and there's no amount of money that can ever replace it. And you get asked a lot, like, "Well, what's your favorite part of it?" Maybe it's the memory of the whole thing. It's the feeling that you get. But if I had to like pick a moment, it would be when my dad shot his first international animal. Um, because I'm sure that he never thought that was going to be possible.
Oh yeah.
So that was a really, really, really special day. And then oddly enough, that was our second day there. But then we weren't going to hunt on day 8. We were going to go home. We were leaving to go home.
Sure.
And you suggested, hey, you've got enough time. Why don't you take one more sit at this one specific blind? Because, I had my heart set on getting an eland, right? I wanted an eland. And so we're like, okay, let's do it. And that was like one of the most amazing days I've ever hunted in my life. And my dad as well. I mean, I don't know how many species of animals we saw, and I don't know how many total animals we saw. Well over 100 animals, including, a herd of Cape buffalo and a herd of eland. But just the opportunity for the eland wasn't there. And my mind's, just like in stories, my mind's beginning to flirt with, man, I got to go to the airport. We're that close. And a herd of gemsbuck come in and kind of like right at the wire, curtain call, whatever you want to say it. We end up this picture perfect scenario where there's bucks shredding a bush back there, ripping it up. I'm like, that's got to be the guy. He's got to be the one.
Oh yeah.
And the cow stops right in front of me, and I'm thinking, we're gonna sit here and time's gonna run out. And he just picked his head up and he looked, and like from whitetail hunting, you're like, I said to my dad, I'm like, he's a ways out, but he's coming. Like he was committed. And he literally walked right into my shooting lane, and that was it. And I'm like, I was like, I can't believe that just happened like that.
Oh yeah.
So that was that day was a really special day. It was a great send off, if you will. The total experience, and the Impala were rutting at the time we were there, and they're making all kinds of noise. And chasing everything around,
snorting around.
Yeah, you don't think that that's the noise that's going to come out of that relatively small
little
animal.
mouth. Yeah,
yeah.
No, definitely.
So that was
certainly memorable, Brian. I'll never forget your gemsbuck. It's one of my favorites. Definitely, I must say, the favorite of 24. When it comes to hunting down an animal and showing patience from a hunter, that definitely paid off that day.
It did, because I waved them off more than once, because it was. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience judging these animals, but a couple of times I felt like, or I knew that it was a female, and the opportunity was there, and I'm like, I was just not going to do that.
But I think you'll also remember that I mentioned a couple of times, you will definitely know when it's your animal. As soon as he walks in there, you will know it's him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, that worked out pretty well.
And as probably all mothers do, my mother is very concerned about safety.
Okay, awesome.
And I've been in a couple countries now, but the fact that Dad and I were going together, I'm sure that was on her mind. And having never been there before, you don't know what to expect until you really experience it. And really, from the moment we landed in Joburg to the time really we left, never once did I feel uncomfortable or unsafe.
Okay.
You're picked up. It's a pretty smooth drive from the airport out to the property, and you know, you're in a really safe environment. I got a thing about snakes. So if there was really anything on my mind, it'd have been like, I just don't want to encounter a snake. Other than that, I really had no concern. So I think that people should, if safety's an issue, there are more dangerous places to probably go and hunt than South Africa.
Oh yeah, no,
So-
for sure. No, yeah.
I was very comfortable the whole time I was there.
Awesome.
And you have
That's
fantastic
great news. That's
staff.
nice to hear, man.
Yeah, the staff is amazing, and you know, I've certainly went through a little bit of a rough time because I had a bad shot experience, and I needed that time on the range to like just get my head back together.
Sure.
And then after that, it was
Smooth sailing.
pretty smooth sailing after
Yeah,
that. But you need those things as a bow hunter.
No, definitely.
You know,
That's you know, there's two kind of hunters, and I think I'll say this a million times: the one that's wounded and the one that will wound. And I think you know you were a good example of someone that got his mind set and fixed himself as quick as possible and went on and did the right thing. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
no, I think we became good friends during the hunt and
Mhm.
family. You know, you came as a friend and left as family, both you and Dad.
Yeah.
And that's how we try and operate and build our relationships.
Yeah, and there's there's a priceless value there. You know, it really is.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Thanks, man.
Well, hey, we're
Thanks so
closing in on last light here at the Den. So, any final words of encouragement or thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Well, yeah, definitely. We'd like to see you guys on Bushman and come and visit us. And yeah, let's see if we can make you part of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. So for folks that would like some additional information on, you know, how to get a hold of Bushman and kind of reach out to people, make contact, even book a trip, we're going to post all that information. And we can disseminate it out to anyone. And you can always reach us at thefinancialoutfitter.com. Send us an email, and we'll get you in touch with whomever we need to, and pretty short notice, really. Of course, we want you to subscribe. We want you to give us the likes, all the social media stuff, and just know that when you do that, you're not a member of the herd. You're part of the pack.
Our mission is to promote new connections in the sporting community by bringing awareness to opportunities and issues that impact our lifestyle, challenge members to think critically about their role in the modern world, and help others to turn dreams into cherished memories. This episode is sponsored by BPG Planning, purpose-based personal financial planning because it's about more than your money.